My last video was about the TAP leak, where basically in order to use the TAP, all of the users had to submit some kind of like biometric or government identification so that they could have access to the site, because it only wanted women only, and in order to confirm that you're a woman, they needed some sort of identification from you, which at just very face value makes sense. Okay, it makes sense, but I'm not here to talk about that topic. I have a whole nother video about that the last video I put out. Go look at that one. What I'm here to complain about though is that in that video I said, hey, this is actually becoming like a problem where so many sites are asking for your identification so that they can confirm you for this or that. I live in Texas right now, and a big problem that I've been running into on not daily, but more frequently than I should be, is having to use a VPN to use the internet, because a lot of the sites that I'm visiting are requiring me to give my government identification. I'm not gonna do that. I refuse. I don't want my ID or my biometrics out there to just be released to the public, okay? Like, yeah, I'm doing it right now. I do it all the time. I have so many instances of my face out, but that it's principle. It's one, principle, and two, the bigger issue is government ID. I'm gonna be so real. So I don't even need to hype up biometrics. If I'm going to be honest, my biometrics are out, and a ton of people's are. Okay, that's just how it's going to be. But I said in that video, hey, this is going to be a huge problem. The internet is already like really unsecure whenever it comes to like leaking information from a bunch of websites. Data breaches are so common. They are so common. In that last video, I said, hey, I'm willing to bet right now that one of my passwords has already leaked from a data breach. And in that video, I looked, and sure enough, I was right. It happens all the time. The more you signed up for, the more frequently it's going to happen, to the point where it just happens all the time, and it's just normal now. Imagine if it happened all the time with your government ID. In that video, I said, you know, this is probably going to be 5-10 years from now. It'll be everywhere. Every website's going to require some kind of your ID to be able to use the service for this or that reason, whatever, because it's just becoming more and more of a trend to actually start requiring this stuff. I was not expecting it to be this week. This week, everything has started to require identification. Now, it's not made it exactly to the US yet, but once again, I made another video a while back, you know, like a week or two ago, about Nintendo and a lawsuit or whatever that was happening in another country, and I mentioned that stuff that happens in the UK, for example, was that UN? I don't remember, around that region, it's happening over there, okay, it's spreading between the UK and the UN, okay, where some law or something goes into place that eventually makes it over to the US, and the people in the US have to follow along with it too. This has been a common trend with things that happen, like laws and stuff that get passed over there, very commonly make it back to the US. And one that has recently hit the books is the Online Safety Act, which at very face value is something to keep the children safe, all right? And I have so many things to say about this. Yes, we should be keeping kids safe. Yes, it is a really good idea to keep kids away from these spaces where they could be exposed to these kinds of things they don't need to have access to. But that is not the job of the internet. That is the job of the parent. Putting that in the hands of the internet creates so many more problems than it would be if you just left it as it is. And I'll get into that. But basically, in a nutshell, what this is and what it has been presented as is it's something to protect kids on the internet, be it access to porn or violence or crime or like sexual predators. Any of those things, the goal is to keep children away from that, make it where they do not have access to it. And unfortunately, the way that they're doing that is, well, I mean, I guess there is really no better way to do this, despite the fact that this is still a bad way. I really don't think there's a better way to go about this from the side of like the provider of this information, is that they're requiring the adults to give up their identification so that they can use these websites. And the kids won't be able to because they don't have that identification. That's the plan. Now, what this touches is such a extremely broad branch of just like the vast majority of the internet. I was reading through the bill earlier, and there were so many things that would fall under the grounds of like yeah, kids can't access this. You have to provide your identification to use it. It's so many things. And of course, because of all this, the public was pretty outraged at it. And I mean, they still are pretty outraged about it. Not just the people in the UK, but also people in America, because we know that this is coming for us. And it already has started coming for us. I'm going to be honest, it already has started coming for us, but I'm going to talk about, yeah, whatever. So there's a petition with 456,000 people signing it. At the time, the government responded. It says down here, government responded. The response was given when this was about like 300,000 or whatever. It kept going up because people didn't care. They said, get this out of us. You know, almost 500,000 people said, remove this. And it's like 500,000 of the people who even know about it or care about it. I can guarantee you, if the entire UK public knew what this was and the implications of it, there would be so many more signatures. But unfortunately, for a lot of stuff, the general public is rather uninformed. And I can completely agree with this. I can completely agree with this. I had no clue that any of this was happening until like a couple days ago. If I knew about it, like when I was recording the video that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this was happening. This was happening. I didn't know about it. I could have ranted about this then instead of now. Let's read their excellent response to this situation. I would like to thank all of those who signed the petition. It is right that the regulatory regime for in-scope online services take proportionate approach, balancing the protection of users from online harm with the ability for low-risk services to operate effectively and provide benefits to users. The government has no plans to repeal the Online Safety Act and is working closely with Ofcom to implement the act as quickly and effectively as possible to enable UK users to benefit from its protections. I'm not reading any further. We're not going to do it, and in fact, we're going to do it as quick as humanly possible. The government does not care about the implications of this law. They are laser focused on how it affects children, and that is the only thing that they are focused on. And I'm going to be completely honest. After seeing some of the stuff that's in this bill, this is not just about children. This is about general censorship of the internet. Discord has been hit starting to require age verification. Reddit has been hit starting to require age verification. Wikipedia has been hit starting to require age verification. Spotify has been hit starting to require age verification. So many things, so many more things. These are just the big ones that like pretty much everyone normally uses on, I'm not going to say a daily basis, but you know, you're going to visit these sites at least a couple times a week. At least one of them, maybe. I would say Discord and Reddit are maybe a little bit more niche for like the general public as a whole. Wikipedia, certainly. This is a large one that the majority of people are going to visit. Maybe not once a week because maybe people don't look up things very often, but you're gonna go here. And Spotify hits a huge swath of people. And this is just because of the incredibly broad scope of things that this law covers. And if we go ahead and actually look at the law here, right? There's some stuff in here that's like actually genuinely concerning. For example, I was reading through this and I hit this: realistically depicts serious violence against a fictional creature or serious injury of a fictional creature in graphic detail. This is like a huge proportion of video games. I'm gonna be so honest. Video games, movies, TV shows, this hits so many things. A lot of things that, like, let's be clear, have a generally higher age rating, but in a lot of instances, that let's think about this. The age rating for this stuff is younger than what the law is requiring, that you need your ID to verify that you are old enough to view these things. And in a lot of instances, you know, like old enough being like adult age, a lot of instances, this kind of stuff will show up in places where you don't have to be an adult to view it. For example, the movie Logan got a 15 certificate, which basically means it's for anyone 15 or under can't view this, right? The reason being there is a lot of pretty serious violence in this movie, of which the children that are 15 or younger, or sorry, the children between 15 and 18 now need an 18-year-old government ID to view. Hello, editor here. I forgot to mention the reason that that's significant is because Logan is hosted on Disney+. So now, in order to, you already have to be 18 or older to get an account for Disney+. But now this means that because Logan shows serious violence, you now have to show ID to view content hosted on a website that has Logan. Even if you're not going to, say, I might be going to Disney Plus to watch Bluey, but I still have to give them my government ID to prove that I'm 18 or older because the website hosts the movie Logan. Just a little example. Like, this hits so many things. Disney Plus is catching a stray from this. A relatively historically like children-centric site. Now I'm gonna be completely honest though. There are R-rated stuff on Disney Plus. Yes, Logan is where I'm from, rated R. Yes. So yes, this is something that you might want to limit a children's access to, but still, right? This is, the onus is on the adult. The adult is the provider of Disney Plus. The onus should be on the adult to ensure that their children are not watching things that they shouldn't be. In fact, actually, I'm going to get into more intention here because this has actually kind of got me heated now that I'm thinking about this. The adult has already signed up and provided access to Disney Plus, right? No adult. No. How the heck are they going to do this? Because is the kid going to have to present ID to use Disney Plus? The adult is giving the kid permission to use Disney Plus. The Disney Plus as a website is designed for children, right? Or not for children, but so much content on Disney Plus. I don't have a Disney Plus account, so I can't really show it right now. But so much content on the Disney Plus library is catered to kids. Because, like, you can imagine, right? Okay, I just pulled it up because I realized I could. That some adult is going to sign up for this website, present their government ID, and then just hand the kid the remote and, like, leave or something. You've got stuff like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. You've got Big City Greens, Descendants, Winnie the Pooh, 101 Dalmatians, Donald Duck. This is kid stuff, right? But because of the nature of the bill, in order to look at this, in order to use this website, you ideally should have to be an adult. Does this look like the kind of place that adults should be? Does this look like the kind of content that they should be restricting from kids just for the fact that they're kids? Like, yes, there's stuff on this website that the kids shouldn't have access to, and this will filter them out. But it comes at the expense of the adults presenting their ID and giving it to Disney. And then to what? Nothing changes. The parents are still going to give their kids the remote and walk out if they already do that. Now Disney just has their ID. Anyways, fictional creatures. That's a lot of stuff. Anything that has violence against fictional creatures, you now need to show your ID to view. Realistic or serious injury of an animal, you now need to show your ID to view. Or even crazier, okay? That when you start looking at this, you're genuinely getting into, okay, like this is actually like government censorship type stuff, is when you scroll further down into the bill, an offense under any of the following provisions of the Immigration Act, illegal entry and similar offenses, or assisting unlawful immigration. In what world will a child ever care about immigration? In what world? The only instance where a child would need to be protected from viewing how to do unlawful immigration or how to assist someone doing unlawful immigration is whenever that child is so desperate to get out of their current situation that they have to go outside of the law to get it done. This, even past what this law is trying to do, this will harm. There is no positive to this part in the law. Because either the child goes to the internet and learns how to break the law so they can save themselves from the situation that they're in, or they just, I don't know, do it because they're bored and get arrested. Those are the options. Of course, I mean, third option, they don't find the information, they get stuck in the situation they're in, and then probably end up in more harm than if they had immigrated illegally. I can almost guarantee you, if they're going to sit in the prison in your country rather than whatever they're doing back at home, it would probably still be better. There's a reason that they're trying to illegally immigrate. That there's a reason that the child is trying to illegally immigrate. They're desperate. But this is a larger problem now, because in order to view things that talk about illegal entry or assisting illegal entry, you know, not even like trying to do it, but like just looking into the topic, you now have to show your government ID, which will hit significantly more adults than children. And now that we're getting into this point in, you know, like the country as a whole, where like, I mean, in the US, this has been a thing in the US. There have been many instances of people talking out against the government or in opposition to the immigration policy or practices. They have been removed from a lot of things. They've been removed from office. They've been removed from jobs. They've been sent off to another country. And if this kind of stuff makes its way to the US, like, you know, I am constantly worried that things happen in the UK this will cause huge problems for us. Or if the practice of just sending people away, like the US has been doing, gets, you know, imported into the UK, that's another huge problem. Because now, if I'm going to a website that hosts this kind of information and I view it, I have to give them my government ID to view it, okay? This is not a government website. This is just like someone's blog or something, right? And if that person does not require your government ID, they could be subject to a lot of penalties. And so they do. To keep themselves safe, they do, right? But now, the government has the ability to just ask, give us that information. Give us their IDs. And now they have your ID. And they have that you had intentions to view or do this kind of stuff. and now you've got questions to answer. And to quell any potential, oh, that's not happening, oh, that's not actually what they're doing, it's in there for something else, just like watch this clip with me, please.
Online safety bill, if it's just about children, is it just about children, or does it focus on adults?
That should be an elite squad.
Barry, does it just focus?
To protect 13-year-old
I'm sorry,
girls.
the elite squad is not about children, actually. Shall I read you the thing? An elite squad of police officers is to monitor social media for anti-migrant sentiment. I don't think 13-year-olds are engaging that. So is it also to monitor adults? Simple question, yes or no?
Yes, of course it will.
Okay.
We needn't look further. Is it meant to monitor adults? Yes, of course so. That's it. End of story. Now, of course, you as an adult and I as an adult have done, once I've hit a bunch of these sites that require my ID because of my location, go, oh, I'm just going to use a VPN. I'm just going to use a VPN. It will genuinely do more harm to me to submit my identification to these websites than it will be for me to just say I'm from somewhere else. Because I don't want you to have that information. I do not want you to have that information that you are requesting of me. I do not want I do not want it tied to my account on there. I do not want it tied to what I do on there. I do not want it to be potentially released to the public with my first name, my last name, possibly my date of birth, maybe in like just my whole driver's license. I don't want that out in the public like that. And so I use my VPN that I have. I think everyone should have a VPN to say I'm somewhere else. This provides me a layer of protection far further than whatever this is going to do for the children. Let's just watch this absolute saint of a child savior, Peter Kyle, and see what he has to say about the adults' use of VPNs.
This is the biggest step forward in child safety since the internet was created. There is, since Friday last week, children and parents will notice the difference in the experience that children have. Most children do not go looking for harmful and dangerous and pornographic content. Most children actually have found that the content has come to find them. That's why we've acted so decisively in this. And for everybody who's out there thinking of using VPNs, let me just say to you directly, verifying your age keeps a child safe, keeps children safe in our country. So let's just not try and find a way around. Just prove your age, make the internet safer for children, make it a better experience for everyone. That's surely what we should aspire to in this country.
Peter, explain to me how in God's name me using a VPN to avoid age verification on some website protects a child. That child has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with my account. My use of VPN is completely removed from their potential use of a VPN. The only thing, genuinely the only thing that adults avoiding the use of VPNs would do is allow more instances of this quote-unquote VPN infraction to be done by children. Genuinely, that's it. If everyone uses a VPN, the government's going to see this as a problem and say, okay, no more VPNs. But if only a small portion, the children, uses a VPN, it's more likely to go under their noses where they just don't really care that much. It's just, a small minority. But it's the kids. Peter, how does that help anyone? I genuinely do not believe that the people who are supporting this bill actually understand how people use the internet, or kids, or what the internet is, or how it works, or really the majority of things that they speak on works, or how it will actually be implemented into the public, which I really just don't think they care, because British media is now reporting that the authorities could ban the use of VPNs. This comes after a massive surge in VPN use after the new draconian online safety bill has been censoring the internet. Yeah, of course, this is what's going to happen if the whole internet is being censored, and we don't want to give our public information out because so many instances all over the place, like with the T-app just recently, the stuff just gets released because it's actually pretty hard to make a secure account or a secure, database of this data and ensure that it doesn't get out, because it's actually pretty difficult to do that, and everyone knows that. We don't want to be doing that. We don't want to be giving information out. And even, we just don't want to take that extra step for every website to do this, right? It's so much easier to just say, oh, I live in the US, or in my instance, I just say I live in Canada 90% of the time, because Canada genuinely has a more open internet than the US at this point. It's so much easier to just do that and not have to worry about the hassle of any of this. But now let's take this into context. Now they're planning on banning VPNs. Let's just walk through what happens when they ban VPNs, okay? So, children have been removed from all of the bad websites that they don't want them to go to, okay? The majority of the bad websites, let's think about this for a second. The majority of the bad websites that they currently know about are the ones that show up at the front of the page. The easiest, the best SEO, the best content, all that stuff, right? These are the ones that are the most filtered and the safest. Now, these are subject to the new you have to be an adult to view them law, okay? So now the kids can't go here anymore, all right? You know what they're gonna do? They already know this stuff exists. They know this stuff is out there. I don't just, like if I'm looking for naked ladies, I don't just go to the website. I don't go to the naked lady website. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I Google naked ladies and I see what's on there. I go top to bottom. That's what I look for. So now if I Google that, right? If that's what I want to look for, and I Google that, and I see it at the top, okay, I can't go here. I can't go here. I can't go here. I can't go here. Let's flip through 7, 8, 9 pages. Oh, this one works. I found one finally, because I know I will. I know I will. This one, 8 pages into the Google search results. Do you think that that'll be safer for me than the first one that I viewed? The kids are going to get there. The kids are going to get there regardless. We're not going to be able to stop that. It won't happen. I can speak from a former kid. It won't happen. So now we have the children on the worse, less safe sites than the one that they're currently on. Granted, the sites that they currently have access to, or at least did as of like a week ago, still are, yes, I can agree, still are bad, right? But now they're on worse. Next, number 2, identification. Now, in order for the adults who rightfully should have access to these websites, for them to use them, they have to submit their government ID to all over the internet. All over the internet, they now need to supply their government ID. I can guarantee you, as a result of this, there will be so many instances where that ID gets leaked, just like the TAP, just like the TAP. It probably won't be like the big hitters, like Discord, Reddit, Wikipedia, Spotify, maybe the data leaks don't come from there, but they'll come from smaller places. I can guarantee you they will come from smaller places. They will come out. So now the children are on more dangerous sites. The adults are constantly at risk of having their IDs leaked. And now, since the government is pushing to ban VPNs so that, these people can avoid these problems, the banning of VPNs means that in addition to your government ID getting out, now all the stuff that you visit has full access to all the stuff that the VPN prevents. The VPN prevents a ton of stuff. I'm not really going to go into that because I don't feel like it right now, but just trust me, look into VPN. They're really good. This bill, the only thing I can see this bill doing is making 3 things worse. That's literally it. That is literally it. It just makes the internet as a whole a worse place and a more dangerous place for all parties. That's literally it. That is the crux of it. Because, no, you're right, Peter. You're right. The kids, in a lot of instances, don't go searching for this stuff, okay? I don't use Instagram Reels because when I open it, I see people die all the time, and I don't want to see that, so I don't go there, right? And yeah, okay, a kid who is on Reels or something instead of TikTok, maybe because their parents banned TikTok, all right, which is not a far reach at all. The parents would ban TikTok, which has a whole lot more censorship of this kind of information because, TikTok is like, China, your data or whatever, right? It would make sense. This is actually a pretty good example. The parents banned TikTok for whatever reason. So as a result, the child decides, okay, I'm going to move to Instagram Reels. It's owned by Facebook. It's well known. The parents probably grew up with Instagram. They think Instagram is a safer place than TikTok for data security reasons. Now they're watching people die on the regular. Anyways, content that children shouldn't be seeing it's really easy to just get fed to you all over the place. It's really easy. So I can agree with him that the children will no longer be fed this kind of information. And I'm saying this, I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but it's because they're not going to these major sites to just kind of scroll and view things where this stuff does unintentionally get fed to them. But if they want to see it, they still can, and there's nothing stopping them. There is genuinely nothing stopping them. The only person who can properly ensure, and still, unfortunately, they can't ensure that they don't engage with this kind of content, is their parents hanging over them and watching everything that they do on their device. That is genuinely the only way to actually handle this situation. And unfortunately, with our current day and age, that still won't be enough to prevent your child from viewing these things that you don't want them to. Because the generations now are so much smarter and better at getting around this kind of stuff than all the generations before them. We have so much more knowledge, information, and materiality at our hands to actually sneak through a bunch of these pathways that we're not supposed to take, that now I can guarantee you anyone middle school up will be able to find their way around this stuff. Shoot, I was in 5th grade. I knew how to work my way through the internet. As a 5th grader, I could have snuck through all the stuff that they're implementing. Anyways, it's super fun. And just as I feared, it's not just a UK thing. I know it's like a Texas thing and a US thing. They've been trying to push this stuff so hard for so long. Here's one that's going through Congress, the Kids Online Safety Act. I mean, this has been in there for a while. Here's another one, the Screen Act. This one's rather new, all right? Here's another one, Texas House Bill 186. It's like over and over and over again, they're adding these stuff back into legislation to try and do exactly what the UK has successfully managed to do on our end. I can guarantee you, within the next 3 years, since this has passed in the UK, we're going to get something just like it or worse. Texas already has something very similar. Texas already has something very similar. It's not nearly as bad, but it's close. It's pretty close. For example, one that recently hit 2 days ago, this is from YouTube, so now YouTube is starting to require this stuff, extending protections to more US-based teens. US-based. I'd like to clarify, they specified US-based, so we can more than assume that because they specified US-based teens, this is because of the UK laws. They're extending that to the US just directly. They didn't have to do this. They don't have to do this, but they will. Starting August 13th, 2025, we will be rolling out an age estimation model to determine if a US-based user is under the age of 18. This will happen regardless of the birth date you entered when creating your account. We'll then use that to extend your age-appropriate product experiences and protections to more teens, like enabling digital well-being tools and only showing non-personalized ads. How does it work? The age estimation model uses a variety of signals such as YouTube activity and longevity of the count. If we determine you're under 18, you will be notified. As always, you'll have the option to verify your age through government ID, selfie, or a credit card if you believe your age estimation model is incorrect. Here we go, it's happening again. YouTube, I will not be giving you my government ID. I won't, I'm sorry, it's not happening. At least as a user. As a creator, I know, at least I'm pretty sure, in order to collect from monetization, because I have a couple of friends who are monetized, you have to give them your socials, or not your socials, your social security, which I think is just way worse. Or at least I'm pretty sure you have to submit that information. I actually haven't looked into it that much myself, but I pretty sure I remember hearing that it's a thing. I'm pretty sure. And if I'm going to be completely honest, it wouldn't make sense for you not have to fill out the tax information for it, which includes that data that you have to give to like your quote unquote employer, which is kind of how the relationship is. I don't know. I'm actually shaking on this. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know. Anyways, though, still, regardless, as a user, I don't want to have to give you my ID. I do not want to have to give you my ID to view stuff on YouTube. And because the way that they're doing is they're going to like have some AI estimate the way that you use the internet or the way that you use YouTube as a whole, I can guarantee you, I have so many friends. I know so many people who will fail this. Guaranteed. I know these people will fail this. And many of them are like 20, 25, 30. I know so many people who are going to fail this because of like my connection to the Minecraft community. So many of them are going to fail this. I know for a fact. I mean, it's just really cool. We're going in a really cool direction, and it's not just the UK and the US. Like a bunch of other countries are doing this. I know UN, France, Germany, Australia. Who else? I think Norway and Greece have also like tried and implemented the same kind of like laws that we're seeing hit the towers now. I don't know why I said that. That just came out out of nowhere. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to say there, but I'm going to be completely honest. Hit the towers is like, you understand what I'm saying. Now, thankfully, it's probably not going to be as big of an issue as I've hyped it up this whole time. I tried to find the source for this, but I couldn't. I mean, I also didn't look that hard, but literally right before recording this, I saw this tweet. Supposedly from Trump, the US will not tolerate foreign censorship of our tech companies, our platforms, or our citizens. So, I mean, maybe that's something more to look into, but it does look like, which I think is really weird, our current government, or at least maybe just Trump, is against the foreign censorship of our tech companies, which that feels weird to me because historically our own government has been like super for the censorship of our own tech companies. I really don't know what or why that's a thing, but hey, maybe it's not as bad as I suppose. Okay, maybe it's not as bad. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm still really worried, and I'm significantly more worried than I was, last video. It's only gonna get worse from here. I'm more than willing to bet. Anyways, that's it. that's it. Stay safe, get a VPN, don't fall for this stuff. If it asks for your identification, don't give it to them. Go to Canada, go to Brazil, somewhere. Just be somewhere away from where you currently are. Don't move, but like make them believe that you moved. Anyways, if you made it this far, it's been a long video. I talk like this all the time. Please subscribe, you will see more. Okay, anyways, bye.